Welcome to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. This is where you're going to discover how to bring awakening into the body and into everyday life through powerful tantric teachings. Get ready to release, open and step into your true power. So tonight is sexuality night, and sexuality is very connected to the life force energy that's available within us all the time. And the more open we are in our lives to our emotional body, to flow, to life force energy flowing, then the more our sex center is going to be open. You know, it's week 5, we're all journeying. Hopefully you've all been feeling deeper, taking greater responsibility for your emotional body, vibrating more. And when we get to sexuality week, really this is the foundation. This is where we've been born from. We've been born from sex. This is the creative potential of all of us. This is the capacity to really be open and alive. And those 4 quadrants that I've been speaking about, when it comes to sexuality, all 4 really need to be on. If we don't have the presence of divine masculine that can spend time alone and be here and meditate and really feel what's present in each moment, it's going to be very difficult to be present with someone else and not just rush for the goal. If we don't have divine feminine, then it's going to be very difficult for us to be in our hearts when we're engaging. It'll be easy for energy to just get locked here. And embodied masculine, that's that penetrative energy. And if you're a woman, you're really penetrating from the heart. If you're a man, you're penetrating from here into the heart. And then, of course, embodied feminine, which is the fluidity, the sensuality, the receptivity and surrender, so that there is a state of really moving and flowing and surrendering into the unknown with sexuality, again, without an agenda. So there's a lot of trauma in the feminine around sexuality. And then there's a lot of confusion in the masculine, which men could relate to that, not knowing what to do and how to be with that. Why is that? Why is there so much trauma in the feminine and confusion in the masculine around sexuality? We're not educated. The education, we do have an education, but the education is an over-masculinized education that is bereft of soul, is bereft of spirit, and is bereft of anything feminine, really. We have 2 main sources of education for sexuality. One is pornography, that relegates sexuality into a shadowy world of agenda, ejaculation, perfect genitals, perfect bodies, performance, and flesh and friction. So it's all here, which anyone who's actually in their body, any woman who's actually in her body, is not going to open genuinely with that sort of sexuality. And when she feels that, trauma will come up whenever she engages with a flesh and friction based sex that's completely focused on agenda, performance and coming. Yeah? Masculine. Other system of education. Abstinence from religion. Let's transcend the body and completely deny ourselves of pleasure and only have sex for procreation. That's another masculine approach because it leaves the body. Both require actually a leaving of the body. One, we have to deny our pleasure. The other one denies consciousness and heart. Yeah? So where's the education that actually honors that sexual energy is the closest to feminine soul and feminine essence out of everything on the planet. Sexual energy is what creates life. Sexual energy is fluid. Sexual energy is circular. Sexual energy is magical. When it's felt with the vibration of truth. And anyone who's having a tantric relationship will feel the truth of that, will feel how healing sexuality is, will feel how beautiful sexuality is, will feel how it brings up everything that's not loved to be touched and healed, and will offer a sacred space for that healing to happen. What that looks like is what we're going to explore tonight. But before we explore that, I want to address this brokenness, right? This unconscious and conscious telepathic agreement that we have with ourselves that we're not okay unless we're not feeling pain. And brokenness doesn't arise from pain. Brokenness arises from a judgment of pain. It's like all week this week, I've cried every day, I've laughed every day, I've ran sexual energy every day, I've had longing every day, I've had excitement every day. And everything that's been vibrating in my cells, I fully embrace. So this passes, that passes, and it's like nature. Everything is shifting and changing, and sometimes there's thunder, sometimes there's rain, sometimes there's sunshine, sometimes there's bubbling brooks, sometimes there's leaves shaking in the wind, sometimes there's oceanic waves of bliss, sometimes there's oceanic waves of despair. But if you're living in a state of vibration where everything is allowed to be here, and there's no resistance to anything that's alive, and there's no attachment to feeling any different to where we are, then we don't suffer anymore. And this took me a long time. You know, I've always been similar, like looking for my healing and then going, oh my God, why am I still broken? And how much more do I have to feel my anger? How much more do I have to feel my pain? For as long as you need to. For as long as it's alive in you. And so what? It's just vibration. It's just energy. And there's nothing that you can't do with that energy fully alive in you if you're not resisting it and attaching to being in a different space. Because I can tell you now, it passes very quickly when there's no resistance. When you allow yourself to breathe the body open and vibrate the cells of whatever is alive, and you let go of the stories that the mind creates, that you have to get anywhere, then you stop trying and you start being. And when you master the art of being, that's when you can be fully present before someone in a sacred space where sexual energy is welcome as a pathway to God, as a pathway to deeper intimacy, as an ancient temple rite that taps you in to the beating heart of what creates the ripple of creation, of what is responsible for us all being here. And the fact that that energy gets put in onto a screen of flesh and friction or into a interpretation of the Bible that makes sex evil actually makes me want to fucking puke. I find it the hardest to swallow. Because I think even wars are a result of suppressed sexuality. If those fuckers were holding their cocks instead of guns and feeling the power of their phallus and really loving with that phallus and having that same penetrative energy in the world that they have in the bedroom that penetrates with love, I don't think we would have wars anymore. Maybe I'm an idealist, but I don't think we would. Sexuality, eros, is the most unconscious. And it's the quickest pathway into the unconscious. And the more conscious you become, the more that you can't get away with engaging sexually anymore without feeling everything that is in your unconscious. Because someone is entering you, or you're entering someone. But especially for a woman, you're receiving energy into your womb, into your heart. And if you're someone who's fully embodied and that energy isn't completely present and attuned and in resonance, then your body is going to scream. That's why a lot of women who get into Tantra become celibate. Because there's not many men who can meet that energy, and it's not any man's fault. There's no education. And, you know, women go into that masculine energy as well, and they get into that performance mode and perfection of their physical bodies and only have pornography to learn from or abstinence, and either hide their sexuality in shame or think that that's their worth and that they have to do this and have to do that and don't know that they can actually say no. So the more removed you are from God, the more separate you feel from self, the greater your addiction will be to the explosive orgasm. However, if you do your practice every day, if you move energy through your life, then what begins to happen is that orgasmic energy is something that can flow through the body, the whole body. And the whole time you're making love, there's orgasmic energy flowing. The whole time I'm making love, I can honestly tell you all, I'm vibrating, I'm ejaculating several times, sometimes over and over and over again. And it's not because of any other reason that then my body is trained to be completely open to whatever is arriving in my body. Yeah? And people say to me, how do I become multi-orgasmic? How do I ejaculate? And there's certain spots in the body that you can touch in a woman that can help her ejaculate. There's certain spots in the body that bring orgasm. And it's all just another fucking mental exercise like everything else in this boxed society that we live in, where we're trying to get information and then do things right. There is no right way to do Tantra. Tantric lovemaking is a deep surrender into the pulsations of energy, the undulations of the spine. And if you are with someone where there's not a resonance with them, or that you don't feel safe with, you won't be able to surrender. If you can't have moments with yourself where you feel deeply surrendered, your nervous system won't be accustomed to it and you'll be stiff in lovemaking. So your entrainment into tantric lovemaking is your self-practice, is sublimating your emotional body so that when you're triggered, you're not just exploding, right? And chasing that time when you can say what you want to say and be right, and then that's going to fix everything. So you can come and it'll fix everything. Nothing fucking fixes everything. You are always going to feel pain. You are always going to feel pleasure. And when you can surrender into the life force energy that is rippling through nature, that is rippling through existence, that was rippling from the moment that you entered your mother's womb, then you will feel alive. And that aliveness will mean that you're not just breathing, sounding and moving when you orgasm, because there's so much energy that even the stiffest of people have to manage it. Oh, right? There has to be some movement. There has to be a sound. There has to be the breath. But you're fucking moving, breathing and sounding all the time. You're not just wearing a mask that's smiling like this. You're not just in story telling people about people, other people and events. You're living and breathing in the awakened heart space that knows what it means to be fucking alive. You are alive. You have water in your body. Feel the fucking water. You have waves of energy moving through your body. Feel the waves. Stop trying to control your experience, because as long as you do, sex is going to be restricted and limited to a genital fucking sneeze. There's nothing wrong with ejaculating. There's nothing wrong with having a clitoral orgasm. What you rob yourself of is the bliss that's possible when that's no longer the goal. When you're so fucking stressed in your ordinary life and so disconnected to your feeling body that the only escape you can get from that is that 20-second death of the ego. And then you return back to your normal state that becomes just as unsatisfactory, but probably even a little bit more, because every time you ejaculate or have a clitoral orgasm, when that's the agenda and that's what you're driving towards, your energy gets completely zapped. Do we want more than this, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay, so breathe, feel alive, feel alive, feel alive. Don't do shit you don't want to do. Say no to shit you don't want to do. Say yes to shit you do want to do. Stop living according to what's expected of you. Release yourself from your childhood imprints. Be here now as the soul that you are in this human incarnation that has a beating heart and knows, if you listen to your body, what you are a fuck yes to, what you are a fuck no to, and you actually listen to that. You actually listen to that. You want to be orgasmic? Start doing that. And when you don't know, when it's a fuck no's, don't do anything. Sit with it until you're a fuck yes or a fuck no. And you know how you know if you're a yes? Your body opens, your solar plexus opens. You're feeling good when you think about it. How do you know when you're a no? Your solar plexus pinches. When you think about it, there's not a good feeling in your body. It's really simple. This will tell you everything that you need to know. And if you surrender into it and you stop trying to figure everything out and you feel more and you talk less, and when you're with a beloved, you are naked, not just physically, but emotionally. And you don't make love with the lights off. You make love with the lights on, and you say, here we fucking are. Two souls beating with the same heart that struggles with the pain, that wants more pleasure. And yet, can we stand here with courage and say yes to life? Because if we don't, if we resist it, if we resist pain, if we attach to pleasure, then where is the bliss? Where is the erotic innocence? Because every time you're attached to something, you can't even enjoy it anyway, because there's so much fucking fear of losing it. And you can't feel the gold of the pain if you're not allowing it to ripple through you. So you're just living this, you're dead, you're numb. It's like, pain's here. Oh, I'll distract from it. I'll think about it. I'll dismiss that part of my animal that wants to do this and vibrate. And instead I'll project my divinity and my pain onto others. You're denying the animal that wants to be here or there and not in the job that they hate, or the relationship that doesn't resonate, or go to mum's house every second day when she's a pain in the ass and let her talk shit to you on the phone for an hour. We start to say, hey, I love you and this isn't a conversation I want to have. Hey, I love you and I'm a no to making love. I'm a yes to sensual touch and seeing what happens. Can we honor our body? Can we listen to the wisdom of our body? If you're breathing, if you're feeling, your body will tell you everything that you need to know. And when you trust that more than this, that's when you can stop thinking when you have sex. That's when you can stop chasing the goal, because you're no longer doing it in life. So feel the fluidity of your body right now. Just move it. Breathe with it. What if you could go with the flow, moment to moment, surrendering to the unfolding mystery of life, knowing that you can't know anything, and that actually this is where safety is. Safety isn't found in security. Safety is found in knowing yourself, in following your bliss, in listening to what your pain is telling you, moving, breathing, allowing, not attaching to any states, not resisting any states, allowing, loving what is, not trying to be anywhere, just being right here. You may feel more secure. Keep moving as I'm talking. You may feel more secure with your routines, your known realities, the securities you attain. But you won't feel safe because your safety is dependent on something external to you. You won't feel happy, true happiness, true peace, because you're always in the future or in the past, determining the future according to it. But when you're right here, in the vibrating human vessel that your soul chose to incarnate in, you're surrendering moment to moment to whatever's alive inside of you. And then when you make love and you're fluid and you're allowing and you're breathing and you're listening to your body and you're resonating with someone, when the whole time they're making love, stresses are releasing. Because orgasmic energy, when it's moving through your body the whole time you're making love, is a healing modality. It'll push out the stresses. It'll bring up the pain. It'll release it. It'll bring in pleasure. It will awaken you. Sex is a prayer. It's an embodied prayer. And the prayer is, in the dance of non-duality, can I go beyond duality into the complete oneness that reminds me of the soul that I am, of the love that I am, of the freedom that I am, so that I no longer need to seek it outside of myself. And when we vibrate at this level of feeling fully alive, fully present, and no longer controlling our experience, all of life becomes a love-making act. All of life becomes a meditation. Where we trust our soul more than our 5-year plan. Where we trust the beating of our own hearts over what anyone has told us that we should be doing. Breathing in, we're just going to breathe in deeply and then let out a bit of our... Did we enjoy getting into our bodies? Yeah. So dancing is a great way to enliven the body. So really what this work is about, having healthy relationships with others, is having a healthy relationship with ourselves. where we're not out here somewhere while our body's here, right? We're actually in our bodies and we're experiencing sensation, we're experiencing what we're feeling, we're experiencing the aliveness of the moment, yeah? So I want to speak into polarity. Who can tell me what polarity is?
Positive and negative pole.
Mm-hmm.
Contrast between masculine and feminine.
Yeah. So what do you think happens in a relationship when there's two people in masculine energy or two people in feminine energy? You become friends or sometimes enemies because you're both competing for the same pole. It's like, I'm the man, no, I'm the man, I'm the man. I'm the girl, no, I'm the girl. I'm the girl, I'm the girl. Or the woman's holding the masculine and the man's holding the feminine. Then what happens? Sex dies. Because generally speaking, a woman, she doesn't want to be in her masculine, or if she is, she ain't interested in having sex with a woman in a man's body. You know, when I'm in my masculine energy, I want pussy, man. I don't want cock. I don't know about, do women relate? It's like, so if you're in your feminine men, women will not want to fuck you. In a few rare cases, a woman has a masculine sexual essence. Very, very rare. I've seen it genuinely maybe once or twice in 10 years of doing this work. And then it works. And then the man genuinely has a feminine essence. But generally speaking, every woman has a feminine sexual essence and men have a masculine sexual essence. The interesting thing, though, is that when a man is holding the feminine pole, because the masculine's positive pole is his cock, he still does want to fuck, even if she's in her masculine, especially because his attraction is visual. So then it gets even trickier. The man who's holding the feminine pole wants to have sex with the woman who's having to hold the masculine because he's in his feminine. She is then rejecting him all the time, which keeps him in his feminine, which puts her more in her masculine, which puts him more in his feminine, which puts her more in her masculine. Then the feminine, the man gets angry. The masculine, the woman withdraws. She moves towards, he moves away, and it's just a never-ending cycle. So the answer is very simple. Men, get into your balls, get into your cock, learn to hold space, witness without judgment, and create safety for the feminine's sexual body to vibrate because her heart is so open as she surrenders into the safe container of your spaciousness. And this is such a huge piece, especially with men who are exploring spirituality. Because often the path for men is that they start to get in touch with their feminine, right? They need to get in touch with their contrasexual self in order to actually feel the aliveness of their emotional body and be authentically present. And the pathway for a woman on the spiritual path is usually to find her masculine, right? Because that's the part of her that's going to create the safety for her emotional body. Without the masculine in a woman, she's overly vibrating and overly extending her emotional body. Without the feminine in a man, he's disconnected from his emotional body and two in his mind and action orientation. Yeah? So how can we honor our journey and maintain polarity? It's really that if you're finding your contrasexual nature and that part of you is growing up, then you need to be doing the work here, not here. Because for a man, when he's getting in touch with his emotional body, if he can then create safety for her, if he can connect deeply to her, and then take that masculine energy that he's holding for his own feminine to a woman, he's going to be sexy. If he's finding her not doing his inner work and not tuning into her or listening to her or allowing her to vibrate, she's going to just be there waiting for the outer masculine. And then the woman's masculine is going to be like, for fuck's sake, I'm holding your feminine again. And it'll be fun for a while. It's always fun for a while when a man first finds his feminine. It's like, oh, great, he's talking about his feelings. And then she starts to get narky. She starts to talk about what she needs way too much. It's like, it's great to ask for what you need. If you're asking for what you need all the time, it's called needy. If you ask for what you need sometimes from a space of deeply mining the heart, mining the soul, and only coming to your partner from a space of when you can't meet your own needs, which really isn't that often, right? It's like, I think any more than once or twice a week, if you're coming to your partner with needs any more than that's a great relationship killer too, because that's what creates codependency. And make requests light. You know, it's like the request we talked about last week. It's like, oh, can you come and just cuddle me? I just want to feel your beautiful arms around me. Can we have a cuddle?
I think I'm needing some space right now.
Can you feel the difference in the energy? So if I've been holding myself and being there for myself, and then I'm like, oh, I just really want to feel my beloved, and I'm going to her with that energy, without attachment to the outcome, without depending on her for my level of affection and love. It's completely different. So, and then same with women when they're growing up, they're masculine, right? If he's growing up and he's suddenly like there, but he's not holding space for this feminine, and he's not feeling supported from this feminine, he's going to be like, well, did I do a good job? Do you love me? Am I all right? And that failure wound that comes up, it's like the feminine deals with the abandonment wound. So when the feminine is up in a man, he's feeling rejected and needy, and no one wants to fuck that, right? When a man comes up, he's like all sensitive and like ego gets bruised really quickly. Well, what are you saying? You know, I've been there when my masculine was growing up. It's like, oh, I feel like you're taking me down. And it's because my own feminine, I hadn't realized my own feminine needed to be like, fuck, you did such a great job today. You know, and my guy, he likes lots of cock sucking and lots of like bowing to my feet. So I would just imagine my own feminine just being like, oh, you're the best. And, you know, he's grown up since then, but he still likes to be honored by the goddess. So my goddess has to honor him. And then once she's on, then it's like, oh, you're amazing. Oh, you're doing so good with the school. I'll touch his feet and like feel his energetic cock, give it some love. And then I'm in my feminine, and then I take that feminine energy to Aaron, and then I'm like, baby, you're so amazing. He's like, oh, thanks, honey. But like the old me would be going to men and going to their feminine, who's not even mature enough to hold a masculine who wants validation. Like women get really good at it. It's like, can you put my bag up there? You're my hero. We're so good at that, right? Well, when we're good at it, we're good at it. The girls who know, it's like, all right, tip, ladies, always make your man feel like a hero. Always make him feel like, if you want to shift him out of a bad mood, ask him to do something for you and then froth on it, right? Sometimes I did it on the plane the other day. There was this guy and I could feel his heart. He was so sad. His partner had just fucking slammed him. She was like, oh, did you forget the nappies? And he's like, oh, yeah, but. She's like, so you forgot the nappies. And then she's just like, don't even talk to me. And I saw him and I'm like, and then I'm like, my bag's there. I'm like, can you just put my bag up there? And he did it for me. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. You're actually my hero. My shoulders are so sore. And he just went, and then I got my tail out and I just went, and then he was like, I'm like, yeah, bitch, fucking, yeah. Anyway, I deviate. So So as your contrasexual self is growing up, let them feel the polarity of your own inner union. We're going to go more into that in week 8. If these two are not talking to each other, if these two aren't communicating, if they're not loving each other, it's going to show up in your external relating. Yeah? And when you're relating to a man, breathe into your feminine. If you're wanting to inspire him into his masculine, your masculine will put him into his feminine. Men, if you're wanting her in her feminine receptivity and surrender, masculine, witness, space holder. Feminine, experiencer. Surrender. Receptive pole, penetrative pole. Right? And that dance is so beautiful. How beautiful is it when you see like the masculine and then the Shakti flowing around that? Yeah? I've worked on thousands of women, right? I have never worked on a woman's body who's having issues with wanting to fuck her partner when at the end of the session it doesn't go into, I just want to be ravished. I just want to surrender. I just want to feel safe. I just want to trust him. Ever. And I've never done a session on a man's body, right? When at the end of it, he's not saying, I just want her to trust me. I just want to be able to take her. I just want to be able to just grab her and claim her. It's the natural essence of both. But we're so removed from it. And men, I feel like men who are on the spiritual path are even more removed from it from women. It usually takes like 3 or 4 sessions before they get to that, because they have to their feminine has to be held for that many sessions. Whereas with women, they have access much quicker to their longing for space holding and witness and safety and trust. Yeah? Because generally men they don't have as easy access to their emotional body. So as soon as you start working with their body, I have a real soft spot for them. They're like, oh, it's, the first time. So there is that part where it's like, it's so much easier if you know this piece. Work with your emotional body with you as you're going on this journey. About 20, maybe 30% of the time, you can be in your feminine with a woman without breaking polarity. For me, a man, it can be like in his feminine 20% of the time. You're doing your partner a favor when you say, as a man, to the masculine in her, let your own feminine give you what you need. And when as a woman, you can say to a man, let your own masculine give your feminine what she needs, right? And then this codependent battle that we all come into, where the contrasexual selves are both so unhealthy because they're unconscious, or when they start growing up, come into competition with each other, starts to resolve into 2 people who have their inner union and feel whole and complete, which doesn't mean an absence of pain, whole and complete because they're allowing everything that's there and their own masculine and feminine is showing up for each other, can meet each other in the fullness of that. And of course, not all of the time, but majority of the time, if you want to keep the sexual chemistry alive in your relationship, you need to maintain the opposite poles so that like magnets, they come together and there's a charge. Yeah? All right. I think you're good for the night. What do you reckon? Thanks for listening to the Love, Sex and Freedom podcast. For more great free resources, in-person and online workshops, and our retreats, find us on Instagram and Facebook at Embodied Awakening Academy or visit embodiedawakeningacademy.com. See you next time.